2023 is coming to a close. Looking back on the year, I played more cozy games than ever before. Some absolutely amazing and others, well, let's just say not so much. So today, I'm here with a tier list to determine what were the best and the worst games I played in 2023. Hi friends, this is Jules, aka the Caffeinated Cozy Gamer. Welcome to my channel and happy holidays! I hope you had a fantastic Christmas if you celebrate it. I am personally still extremely full and lost in the haze that is the week between Christmas and New Year's. I have no idea what day of the week it is, but today I am here with a video of a tier list. Now guys, before I jump into the video, just a quick reminder, if you enjoy my content, please do hit that subscribe button and leave a comment below. I really appreciate it. It really helps me beat the YouTube algorithm. But without any further ado, let's get into it. So here's my tier list. As you can see, I played a whopping 14 cozy games in 2023, which is a lot, even for me. And now before we begin, just let me define my tiers. So in the S tier, we have games that are absolutely amazing. To me, they're borderline perfect. They have very few flaws, and I'm willing to overlook them because of just how fun the game is. I'm also thinking of value for money when I'm putting games into this tier list, because obviously I will be happier and feel more positive about a game that I was able to spend tens or even hundreds of hours in versus a game of the equal price that I only spent 4 or 5 hours in before I completed it. To me, that I know that you shouldn't technically judge games on length, but when we're talking equal quality, a longer game that I can enjoy for longer is better to me than an equally priced shorter game that's just done and dusted in a few hours. Then we've got the A tier, which is for amazing games. Again, really good games, really enjoyed them. They just were not games that, for the S tier, I'm looking at things that I would think, oh, this is one of my favorite cozy games I've ever played. A tier are not quite as good, but still really great games, really worth it. Then we got the B tier, and B tier is for good, solid games. So there might be a few things wrong with them, but they are good, they are fun. I played through them to completion. They just had maybe some problems that meant they were not quite to the same heights of the S tier and A tier games, but they were still really enjoyable. Then we got the C tier, and C tier is for could have been better. So it's a game I've enjoyed, but maybe it had some technical issues. Maybe there was some other reason why I just didn't enjoy them as much as I could have. So maybe with more tweaks, more time, more content, they could become better, but just they were not amazing. They were your average, like 6 out of 10. Like, they're playable, they're fun, but there's better options out there. And then we got the D tier, which stands for don't buy these games because I regret buying them myself. It's the sort of game that I feel like I've wasted my money buying, that I just did not enjoy, or did not have enough content to keep me interested. But just for one reason or another, I just did not like them and I regretted spending money to buy them. Now, just a quick note that this is just my personal tier list. This is my opinion. So if some of the games that you love are in low tiers, that is by no means a reflection of just the quality overall of the game. It's just what I feel that the game deserves for me. So there might be some of your favorite games in low tier and some of your most hated games in my high tier, but this is just very personal, very subjective. Now, that said, let's get into it. And the first game I'm going to be talking about is Disney Dreamlight Valley. Now, I feel like this is a very polarizing game in the cozy game community for two things. The technical issues that keep persisting across multiple platforms, and the 180 done by the developers that meant that the game is no longer going to be a free-to-play game now that it has left the early access period. It runs all right on my PC. It's a beefy PC. I feel like it should run very smoothly on a machine like mine, but it does not. I've encountered a few, not necessarily game-breaking, but game-interrupting bugs, so crashes, freezes, things that force me to restart the game and possibly lose some progress, as well as there are currently a couple of game-breaking bugs that have been flagged for weeks, namely the issue with the glitchy pixel duplicate, I believe is the name of the item, where if you're trying to use that item to craft and you need 200 Dreamlight and 20 coal, but you have way more in your storage, using this item will mean that you deplete all of the resource that you have. So instead of 200 Dreamlight, you've got 200,000, it will use up all of that. And there's no way for the developers to fix this. So I would consider that game breaking because it could potentially erase some of the progress made over the last year and a half for players. I cannot believe it's been weeks and it hasn't been patched yet. So it's because of issues like these that I feel that Disney Dreamlight Valley cannot be higher than a B. Just because there are so many technical issues at this stage. They're on PC, they're on Nintendo Switch, the crashes are still really noticeable, really frequent, especially when it comes to a DLC. So even though it is a fun game that I enjoy, all of these issues are kind of ruined the experience for me. So I find that I'm not playing it as much as I used to, as much as I would like to, because I just get annoyed by the bugs and glitches and crashes and all of the things that come with it. So hopefully if it gets fixed next year, this might get higher on the list in 2024. But for now, that's a solid B. It's a good game, but it has issues. Then we've got Moonstone Island, and I adored Moonstone Island. I've played around 60 hours of this on PC. I've currently stepped away from it just because I'm waiting for the Nintendo Switch version to release in the spring of 2024. Enjoy a good card-based RPG. And I feel like this game is just proof of really good design. So I really enjoyed this. I feel like this could be an S game for me next year. Right now it's an A game where I really loved it. I just didn't absolutely, oh my god, adore it. I cannot stop playing it, which is what I'm reserving the S tier for. But I suspect once I have it on portable, this might be bumped up. As I play it next year, this will also be in my 2024 version of this tier list. And yes, I feel like this is going to be S tier next year. So stay tuned for that. Next, we have Fashion Dreamer. And Fashion Dreamer is the first game on this list that honestly disappointed me and that I regret buying. So this is going straight into the D category, unfortunately. I was raised on the Style Savvy / Style Boutique, depending on where you were raised, games on DS. I loved playing them as a kid. I loved experimenting with fashion. I thought they were so fun. And when I saw that this was made by the same developers, I really jumped at the chance to relieve a little bit of that nostalgia that I had from my childhood. However, I found none of what I was expecting in this game because it's essentially just a dress-up game. There is no story, there is no shop, there is no catwalk, nothing of the sort. It's literally just dressing up NPCs, dressing up other players, or accepting outfits that other players have made for you. You can do a little bit of clothes designing, and then you can decorate this little showroom that people can visit and like and take items from. But that is literally it. And I feel like maybe I would have enjoyed this a lot more when I was younger. But as an adult gamer, I honestly feel like I've wasted my money on this. Next, we have Mail Time. And now, Mail Time is a slightly difficult one for me to judge because I adored the game, but it was just too short. So the premise is that you are this cute little mail scout that you see on the game icon. You can customize your character, and then off you go your first day as essentially a little forest postman. And you have to deliver letters and do little quests for your animal friends. Now, the graphics are adorable. I got lost a lot because there's no map in the game, which I feel is actually a design choice. So you have to learn to navigate as a little male scout your environment, which is difficult because you're Smurf-sized and everything is huge. So you'll just get lost in a field of flowers because you're so tiny and you can't see past. And you've got to exploit some verticality to figure out, oh, that's where I'm supposed to go, which I thought was really fun. The dialogue was also really well made. It was hilarious. But I could 100% the game in about 3.5 hours. And unfortunately, there is just no replay value for me. So at full price, I believe this is about £15. And I feel like that is a little too much compared to similarly priced games in this list that just did not have enough content, in my opinion, which is a pity because otherwise the game is really fun. But I don't think I can put it any higher than a C simply because it was too short. I really was left wanting more at the end of the game, and when I figured out that I was already at the end of the game, I could not believe it because it took so little time to get to it. I was really bummed out because, again, it was really fun while it lasted, but it just did not last long enough for what I paid for it, in my opinion. So I'm kind of hoping there will be some more content added, maybe some DLC. I would love to buy some DLC for this game to play some more of it. That's how much I enjoyed it. But it was just very short, unfortunately. So yeah, that's an okay game for the price. But yeah, I've honestly played demos that were longer than this game, it's why I cannot put it any higher, for me at least. Then next we got OOBLETS. And now OOBLETS is a bit of a particular game for me because I feel like I adored it for about 12 hours and then I lost interest really, really quickly. And I'm not entirely sure why, because the game is really colourful and fun. I really liked the card-based battles, even though they were rather easy, so they went by really quickly. The design and the graphics are really quirky, really goofy. The dialogue is hilarious. It is goofy, it is funny. It's honestly laugh out loud funny at times. So I really enjoyed it for a while and then I just fell off. And I'm honestly not sure why. I tried getting back to it and I just could not. It just could not keep my attention. So unfortunately, I think OOBLETS, I loved it for about 12 hours. And then I just got bored. And I think maybe the bottom of the B category is suitable for it. I feel like it's a good game. It's not just okay. It also runs really well on the Nintendo Switch. But yeah, I just lost interest. I don't know why. So for me, that is a big game. It's a big game. It's good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I just did not play it to completion, unfortunately. So that I might move it back down to C. I don't know. So for now, it's in B. Then we've got Strange Horticulture. And Strange Horticulture is our first S tier game of the day. Now, Strange Horticulture is kind of a mix between a puzzle game and a visual novel. I would just recommend, just a quick PSA, buy it on PC if you can, not on Nintendo Switch, because it's so tiny on Nintendo Switch. If you have poor eyesight like me, you might really struggle with some of the text because it can get really, really small. But otherwise, it runs beautifully on the Nintendo Switch. And you essentially play as a botanist. You've got to solve missions and puzzles and explore the map in a point-and-click kind of way to find new plants. But the kicker is you don't know what the new plant is. You have to use your herbarium, so your little plant encyclopedia, to figure out, oh, this is that plant. So you will have maybe a little sketch of it, so you can see, oh, it has this shape of leaf and this color flower, so it has to be this particular plant. And you will then recommend plants to customers to solve various ailments and problems that they have. All the while, a somewhat creepy, witchy story is unrolling in front of you, and you don't know what's going to happen. It's the perfect game to play at night when it's raining outside. You've got a cup of tea, you've got a blanket. It's not a scary game. It's just got that kind of Tim Burton-ish kind of creepiness to it. That to me is just perfect. It's a fantastic autumn game for me, and I absolutely recommend it to anyone who is even remotely interested in the genre. For me, it's an S tier game. I've played it twice this year. I'll play it again next year, absolutely. And yeah, big recommendation from me. Now, next we have PALIA. And PALIA is a game I'm conflicted about because I feel like I've had a lot of fun with it. But with every update that the developers release, the game becomes grindier and grindier and more difficult for me to enjoy. It's a free-to-play game, so I understand it's meant to be grindy because you are meant to want to spend a lot of time in it. But outside of the fact that performance on Switch is really poor, I get migraines and dizziness really easily, and that frame rate made me feel extremely nauseous extremely quickly. So this is when I'm only playing on PC for the time being. So if you get motion sick like me, beware. If you can play it on another platform, maybe play it on another platform, because it's very stuttery at the moment. But I feel like I really loved it for the first month or two that I played. But then with every update, the developers nerf something, either in how you're making money or in how you're getting resources. And especially the latest update that was made for the Pallium, which is a rarer ore that you need for some of the advanced recipes. It's become almost impossible to find. I will run around for 2 hours when I'm doing a stream, and I will only find maybe 10 pieces of it, which is just 2 ingots. and I need maybe 5 to just craft one piece of furniture that requires it. So it's very, very grindy. And if I'd made this tier list in October, I would have said this was an A tier game. As it stands right now, for me, Palia is a C game where it's just okay and it has a lot of issues. Just because it's getting grindier and grindier, and maybe when I was a teenager, I would have had more patience for it. But I'm 28, I have a full-time job. I already don't have enough time for gaming as it is, and I feel like I just do not have this amount of time to spend into Palia anymore. I'm not this patient anymore. So hopefully the devs balance some of these drop rates to make the game a little less grindy. I would love for them to do that, but as it is, it's just all right. It's not great. I did not enjoy it as much as I hoped I would, because this seemed right up my alley, but it's just being made grindier and grindier, and yeah, I'm just losing interest as it is. Then we've got Fae Farm. And honestly, I adored Fae Farm. It's not a perfect game. I actually reviewed Fae Farm a few weeks ago on my channel. I'm just going to link my review here into the top corner if you want to take a look. So I gave it an objective 7.8, I believe, out of 10. So it was good, just not great. Its main issue for me is that the NPCs have very little dialogue. It's very repetitive, which for me completely removes any compulsion I might have had to get to know the characters, to do the romance quests. So I'm loving the game as a farming game, decorating game, to go down into the mines and whacking enemies and gathering ores. I love those aspects. It's just the life sim part that didn't click with me. But otherwise, I've adored the game. I've played around 150 hours on it between PC and Nintendo Switch. So even though objectively is a 7.8 out of 10 game, subjectively for me, it's an S tier game. I have loved it. My mum also has a copy. We've been playing multiplayer together, doing quests together. It's so much fun. I love the graphics, and I feel like I'm going to be looking back on this game in 10 years' time and still think I had so much fun with this. Just the fun factor in this game is amazing. I was not expecting to love it as much. So yeah, objectively, it has some problems. Subjectively, I do not care. I adored Fae Farm. I did think it was worth the asking price on Nintendo Switch personally, just because of how much of it I've been playing and how many smiles I've gotten out of it. You cannot help but grin like a kid at Christmas when you're playing this game, and it makes me feel so good. I love it. So yeah, for me, Fae Farm, S tier. The next game, spoiler alert, is also going to be an S tier game because we're talking about Coffee Talk. Now, people have been telling me for years, play Coffee Talk, please, because it's amazing. I kept waiting and waiting and waiting. And finally, Black Friday this year, I got both this and its sequel on sale on the Nintendo Switch. I'm almost done playing through the first Coffee Talk. I can't wait to start with the second one. And I've adored it. Outside of the fact that the art is amazing, I'm a big reader. I love reading more than anything. And because of this, I love visual novels as a game genre. And Coffee Talk is one of the best visual novels I've ever played. I loved the characters. They were so well crafted. I loved the writing as well. The writing was really good, really compelling. And I also love the premise of this fictional version of Seattle where humans coexist with magical creatures. So you have vampires, werewolves, fairies, elves, succubi, all of these mythical creatures all sharing space. And I also love how the writers implemented real-world problems into this fantasy version. So you still have racism, but instead of being based on skin color like it is, for us, it's based on the actual race of the characters. So you have a couple that is struggling because they belong to different races and their families are struggling to accept it. So one is an elf, one is a succubus, and I just loved seeing the story play out. I also loved that as a barista, I mean, I'm the caffeinated cozy gamer. Obviously, I adore coffee. It's my lifeblood. But I love that as a barista, you could make the drinks, and then the drinks you made for people could influence their actions and the story. So there is also a little bit of replay value where you making different choices will affect the outcome, which I love. And this just gave me the same feeling as a good book. So I've been playing this before bed, tucked under the covers, and I've been enjoying every second of it. I cannot recommend it enough. I cannot wait to play the sequel. And yes, this was absolutely an S tier game for me. This is another one I'm going to be looking back on and thinking that was really amazing, even years after playing it. And we're on a roll with the S tier games because I'm telling you already, my time at Sandrock is going straight into S tier. I liked my time at Portia. My time at Sandrock is better in every single imaginable aspect. I know that the Switch version does not run great, but I've been playing it on PC, and on PC it's gorgeous. I love the graphics, I love the little details. You've got tumbleweeds rolling in the wind, you've got little animals and bunnies just scurrying around. The desert environment feels so full of life, which is not something you usually think about a desert setting. I'm not usually a fan of that environment. I prefer lush greenery. But I still loved the desert. I loved exploring it. It was teeming with life, with enemies, with resources to harvest. And I also loved the fact that, much like Moonstone Island, it's not a cozy game that's centered on farming, which is really refreshing. You've got some farming, mostly for cooking. There's a couple of quests that require you to farm some items, but you can decline them if you don't want to do them. And all you really need is a 4x4 patch behind your workshop. You just water it like every 2 weeks because it's the desert and you've got special water, like conserving mechanics. But I loved the management aspect of it. I loved the complex crafting. I loved having to clean my machines after a sandstorm to keep them functional, and having to manage the water tank to make sure that they had enough water to run and enough fuel to run. I've played 80 hours of it. I'm not even halfway through the story yet, and I am loving every second of it. I'm fully planning on doing multiple playthroughs because the NPCs, and especially I feel the romanceable characters, are so interesting, so well written, so well crafted, that I will want to do multiple playthroughs just to marry different people and see their stories and their romance quests after I marry them, which is not something I usually do in these sorts of games. But yes, I'm about to clock into, I think, 85 hours. I'm not done with it anywhere near, and I'm pretty sure this is something I'll be playing through 2024 as well, because there's just so much content, and the more I play, the more I want to play. It's fabulous, I'm loving it, and it's absolutely one of my favorite cozy games, not just of the year, but I think of all time. Then we got SUIKA game, aka the watermelon game, and for me this is smack dab an A game. It's so cheap, and it's so much fun for the price. It's really great. If I'm not sure what I want to play, well, I decide I just boot this up, I'll play a couple of quick games, and then I'll realize, shoot, I've been playing for half an hour. Because it's just so Moorish. Like, I will fail, because that's the thing, it takes a lot of skill to get good at this game. You're essentially just dropping fruit into a box, and when two fruits of the same kind touch, they meld into a larger fruit. So you go from 2 cherries to a strawberry, from 2 strawberries to, I believe, a grape, 2 grapes to a grapefruit, 2 grapefruits to an orange, 2 oranges to an apple, and so on and so forth, getting larger and larger until you get to the titular watermelon. And I've not been able to get a watermelon yet, but I'm getting better. I think I got a cantaloupe so far, or a pineapple. But it's so much fun. And believe you me, if you buy this game, and you should buy this game because it's cheaper than a coffee where I live right now, it's so, like, the value for price is so high in my opinion. And you will find yourself playing this for hours and hours on end without even meaning to, just because you will get that feeling of, oh no, just one more game, I can get it this time. Next, we have Big Farm Story. And unfortunately, Big Farm Story was a bit of a disappointment for me. I bought it on sale on Steam shortly after building my gaming PC earlier this year because I wanted something to test it with, to get comfortable with keyboard and mouse controls. And unfortunately, I actually regret buying it. It looked like a fun little farming game that I thought might give me Farmville vibes in a good way. Yes, it had Farmville vibes from 2008, but in the worst way. In that it just feels like a cheap mobile game. It definitely was not worth the price. It it's just very mobile-y. It makes me feel like initially this was planned as maybe a free-to-play game, and then it was pivoted into a paid game. But a lot of the mechanics stayed. There's a lot of time gating. It's very slow. It's just very simplistic compared to other games I'm used to. And unfortunately for me, this is next to Fashion Dreamer as something that I actively regret buying. I played it for 5 to 10 hours, completely lost interest. I've not felt any compulsion to play it since. And so, yes, unfortunately, this is in the D category for me. Next, we have Wildflowers. And people have been telling me, much like Coffee Talk, to play Wildflowers for ages. And so I finally caved this November. I bought it. I've been playing around, I think I've played around 50 hours of it since I bought it, which is a lot considering how many other games I've had on my plate. And I've been loving it. My only quibble is that it starts a little bit slow, but the pace picks up quite significantly as you progress through the story. The basis is that you play as Tara, this young woman who is going to live with her grandmother to give her a hand on the farm because her life has fallen apart. Her fiance left her, she's lost her job, she's lost her apartment. So she's moving in with her grandma who's getting on in age. She's not as healthy as she used to be. And then it quickly turns out that, oh wow, your grandma is a witch and so are you. And I really loved the magical aspects in this game. It's one of the reasons why I also loved Fae Farm. And I feel like it makes the game stand out from a lot of the other competitors that we have right now in the genre. It's really fun. The characters are fantastic. I love the diversity. I love the voice acting as well in this game. Every single line of this game is voice acted, which I don't think I've ever seen in a farming sim before. And it just gives them so much character and so much life. I am loving every second of this game. I also love that the progression of the seasons is not based on how many days you're playing in a month, but it's based on you taking action to progress the story, which then moves you into the next season and the next chapter. And I love it. The only thing I would say is just a quick trigger warning is that if you have an elderly relative that is not doing so well at the moment, but otherwise Wildflower is an A tier game for me. It's absolutely A for amazing. I'm loving it. I'll be playing more of it in 2024 and I can't wait to see what the story has in store. And now guys, we've saved some of the best for last because last we've got Coral Island. I bought this game only about 4 weeks ago and I've played an embarrassing amount of it since it released. I've really enjoyed it. I have one quibble with it, and it's the fact that the game still feels kind of like an early access game. I suspect the publishers wanted to push it out before the end of the year, simply because the game was so popular on Kickstarter with all the stretch goals that it would have probably needed to cook for another whole year before everything was implemented and the game was fully completed. So this could be almost an S tier game for me, but I'm putting it in A just because it's not complete at this point in time. So I'm filming this video on the 29th of December 2023. And unfortunately, there's just some things that I'm missing. It's also still quite buggy on multiple platforms, so it still feels like an early access game, even though it's not technically in early access anymore. But for what I'm playing, I am adoring it. The game is really fun. It's chock full of content already as it is. The characters are really interesting. I love the art style. This is capturing my interest in the way that Stardew Valley never could, which I know, please don't come at me with pitchforks and torches. I just never got into Stardew Valley much. I usually get into halfway summer of year one and I just abandon it because it just does not grip me. Coral Island, however, succeeds where Stardew Valley fails for me. I suspect once it's completed next year, it might even dethrone Stardew as the best farming sim out there. There's a massive 2024 roadmap that the developers shared a few weeks ago, including updates like a new dating and hangout mechanic, new events, lots of new content, a new biome, a continuation of the Giants storyline, a new merfolk storyline, more romanceable characters, and lots more on top of this. So I feel like this is going to be an enormous game and an amazing game once it's complete. As it is right now, it's an A tier game, so it's still amazing. It's just not revolutionizing the genre But I strongly suspect a year from now, this will be at the very top of the S category because once it's got all of its content in, I suspect it's going to be absolutely unbelievable. So here we are, guys. Here are the 14 cozy games I played in 2023 ranked. As I mentioned earlier, some really high highs, some really low lows. But you know what? Every single one of these games in one shape or form, even the ones that ranked lower, brought me still a lot of fun, a lot of enjoyment. So I can recommend all of them regardless. Now, if you got to this point in the video, thank you so much for sticking with me to the end. I really appreciate it. Have you played any of the games on my list? If so, let me know in the comments below. And if some of your favorite cozy games for 2023 are missing from my list, do let me know below as well, because I am always down for recommendations. Anywho, guys, thank you so much for watching. See you in another video soon. Bye!